Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to say call hello, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakar, Kodash. We send double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone. We send much peace, love, salutation to Yakim out there, pushing the word of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, in sincerity and truth. That's the brother Ariella. And on this lesson, I just want to talk about camp development and growth. Just a little bit of mindset as we continue to, grow and abound in the ministry and in the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Just some of the things that we have seen as we've gone through, our experiences here in our camp, and just dealing with brothers from different parts of our region, even different brothers of across Great Millstone. Just some of the things to look out for, brothers that have been tenured, been in for 10 plus, 12 plus, even 15 plus years. You start to develop a routine, and you start to kind of develop a way that you go about doing things. But we always have to be mindful that the Most High is always growing and the Spirit is always moving. And to like the scriptures talk about, we have to look after the flock, look after the sheep. You know what I'm saying? And we always talk about how there's an interdependence within this truth. There's an aspect of things where you basically it's on you, and then there's an aspect about things where it's about the team, it's about the group, it's about the brothers coming together. So I got this word interdependence, and it says interdependency means the state of being mutually reliant, where two or more people, things, or systems depend on each other, and the actions of one affect the others, creating a connected, shared existence rather than one-sided reliance or total independence. Right? And so we need to make sure that we understand that, we are building this thing together. We are the Most High's building. As a matter of fact, I'll open up with that scripture in 1 Corinthians, the 3rd chapter, and I'll start with the 9th verse. It says, "For we are both the Most High's workers, and you are the Most High's field. You are the Most High's building." Right? I'm in an NLT. "Because of the Most High's grace to me, I have laid the foundation like an expert builder. Now others are building on it, but whoever is building on this foundation must be careful. For no one can lay any foundation other than the one we already have, Yahweh Shah HaMashiach." So this doctrine, this what the things that we've been taught, the things that we're teaching, it all has to be connected, like it talks about. And what's that? Ephesians, the 4th chapter. I believe it's Ephesians 4:1. Right? Unity in the body. It says, "Wherefore I, a prisoner for serving Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, beg you to lead a life worthy of your calling, for you have been called by the Most High. Always be humble and gentle, be patient with each other, make an allowance for each other's faults because of your love. Make every effort to keep yourselves united in the Spirit, binding yourselves together with peace." Okay? "For there is one body and one Spirit, just as you have been called to one glorious hope for the future. There is one Lord, one faith, one baptism, and one God the Father, and who is all over and in all and living through all." So yeah, we're interconnected, and we bound in these things, and that's where the spirit of Yahweh Shai, of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, has increased. Matthew 18:20 says, "Where there are two or three gathered together in my name, there I am in the midst of them." Okay, so as brothers work coming to the truth, is there going to be an individualistic aspect of you needing to study, you needing to be assertive enough to do the things necessary to be a part of this, right? You're reading, you're listening, right? You're putting lessons together, you're asking questions, you're taking initiative, but we're also still bound together as we're building this holy temple, and the Most High dwells in the midst of that, right? The spirit of understanding, the spirit of judgment, the spirit of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding dwells in the midst of that, So we have to understand that dynamic within the camp. And sometimes, we can get into a mode to where everybody's just kind of doing their own things. Well, we have to make sure that we're communicating and laying things down. That's why I want to talk about development and growth within the camp. Okay. because it can get to a place to where if that interdependency is not being worked on, brothers that is when it's time for them to lead or step up, or they're clamoring to lead or step up, but they're being withheld and their spirit is being quenched within the camp because of the routine that has existed for quite some time. There's always needs to be a survey of the camp to say, okay, you know what, let me let these young brothers go ahead and take on new responsibilities and put them in a position where they're gathering and gaining experience in leadership and dealing with spirits and all those type of things. You have to know how to delegate within your camp as an officer or as a head of a camp, right? Let's get that word delegate. Right, delegate. It says a person sent or authorized to represent others, a delegate, in particular an elected representative, right? It says entrust a task or responsibility to another person, right? Typically one who is less senior than oneself. So there's a delegation if the camp is growing that needs to happen, so everybody's coming up on a level. We always tell brothers in that camp, what we try to do is make sure that we have a camp full of camp heads. Everybody is able to operate and maintain a camp on their own volition. Okay. Now, if you're holding brothers back within your camp, you're not delegating tasks and responsibilities because you want power and control, and then that's an issue. We've had that in the past where guys that were in leadership positions were abusing those leadership positions and not delegating tasks in order to quench the spirit and keep brothers from taking things to the next level. And also, when you delegate certain tasks, it's going to expose, how that task has been treated, whether it's been taught well or whether it's been poorly managed. Okay? If the systems are in place, another person should be able to come into that system and operate it without too much clutter and craziness. We have to make sure that we're being mindful of that. So there's a spirit of understanding that needs to happen within the camp. All right. I wanted to get 1 Timothy 4:12. It says, let no man despise thy youth, but be thou an example of the believers in word, in conversation, in charity, in spirit, in faith, in purity. Till I come, give attendance to reading, to exhortation, to doctrine. Right? So don't let let nobody despise thy youth. Brothers that are in positions within camps, if you've been holding on to a certain position, it's time to, sometimes it's good to look within the camp and say, okay, are we holding brothers back? Everybody in the same spot? Is there a process of growth that's happening among the camp? It doesn't mean, now you're the head of the camp, we're going to rotate heads, or now you're the second in command. No, it's just about looking at offices and duties within the camp and putting brothers in a position where the spirit is growing. And Lord willing, what I'm saying, I'm hoping it makes sense. Okay. So you might have a brother that was just got elevated to a level of officer after some time of being able to come into those different chats, come into that different level of communication, watching how brothers conduct themselves, watching how the different officers lead class sessions. Well, now it's time for you to lead a class session. Okay. What did you take from that? What are you looking at? What is your mindset on that? Okay, well, brothers dealing with different matters within the camp. Typically back in the day, me, Elder Yashawamba, kind of some of the top heads would do the bulk of the councils. Now we don't do that. Now the other officers handle issues and councils. And now it's getting to a point to where I don't even want those officers to do it because they have the experience, they have the understanding. Now it's time for some of the younger officers to lead a council. And you ask that officer, okay, from what that person said, what did you gather? What did you understand? And then you go through it, processes and thinking in the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. These things are important as for growth within the camp, so brothers are coming on another level of being discerning in the spirit. You want brothers to have discernment, all right, to be able to discern good and evil, right? To be able to discern when someone's being sneaky with their words. To be able to discern, okay, what level of, maybe reprimand or punishment should go with this type of infraction or issue. Discernment, the ability to judge well, okay? And you're not going to get a person that's able to discern that doesn't have any experience. So it's important as heads and leaders of camps that you're putting brothers in a place where they're learning and growing. Okay? Okay, Hebrews chapter 13 and 16, it says, but to do good and to communicate, forget not, right? For with such sacrifices the Most High is well pleased. Obey them that have the rule over you and submit yourselves, for they watch over your souls as they that must give account, that they may do it with joy and not with grief, for that is unprofitable to you. So bros that are in camps, especially camps that are larger, if you're going from a camp and it used to be, 6 of you and now it's 8 to 10 or maybe even more, well, you need to be surveying the camp and looking at, okay, is there places where responsibility can be delegated to give brothers an opportunity to increase their ability to discern things in the spirit, to utilize their gifts, to give glory to Yahweh Shem Yahushua in their ministry, in their serving within this body. Are we opening up opportunities within the camp for that? These things are ebbing and flowing. Of course, you're going to have your core routine structure, but these are conversations that you might be having, maybe every high holy day or so, or maybe just, a couple of times a year with the officers of your camp, or maybe more frequent, depending on how many brothers are in your camp. Once you start to get to 30 plus, then you're having these conversations much more frequently, okay? And this is where delegation becomes much more important, so that lines of communication are not breaking down. All right. And you may get to the point to where there's brothers in the camp and you might not know every single brother very, very well. But because of the fact that responsibilities and duties are delegated, it is very, very simple for you to get a detailed report on what's going on with the state of the camp. Okay. Because a camp of a certain size, you might, brothers might just be dealing with officers mostly. And then those officers are dealing with the other brothers that are within the camp. However that goes and however that looks like for your camp. Delegating and putting a place where brothers can grow is critical. Like the scripture says, you don't want to quench the spirit. All right. So clutching onto things, cutting brothers off, that ought not be happening within the camp. Now, I'm not saying this so a young brother can come and hear this lesson and think, yeah, man, you ain't let me grow, man. I need to be doing this. Hey, shut your ass up. And you'll know guys that are like that too. Okay? You'll know know-it-alls. You'll have the know-it-all. Right? Where it's not about sincerely and humbly wanting to produce your fruit and your gift. It's about being seen, wanting a pat on the back, an ego-driven type of mindset. So, definitely as heads and leaders, you want to watch out for that spirit. Because if I see a guy has a big ego, he's going to sit on the sideline for a long time if they're going to be dealing with me through the spirit. Because we've seen that ego type of spirit just, oh my gosh, it just ruin things and just like, get this guy out of here. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you, so to speak. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 7, verse 4 in the GNT. It says, don't ask the Lord for a place of honor or ask the king for an important position. Don't try to convince the Lord that you are righteous or make a show of your wisdom before the king. And sometimes you get guys that come to the camp and like you said, they always want to be the one that to answer the question in a way that's pushy, in a way that it's not. It's like, they say, they be wanting to speak in your mind. You be kind of be like, no, nah, man, be quiet. You know, so you have guys that are pushy like that, and the best way to do is just to put them in a place to serve, or let a guy that's behind them. You actually pull them up and delegate tasks to that person because they're showing more humility. You know, we've done that before. Rose a guy up that's younger than a guy that's been there longer, and made the statement is because you're humble is why you're being raised up, and say it in front of everybody. Don't point out, nobody like that, but make that statement for it to be seen and heard and understood. Right? It says, don't set your heart on being a judge unless you have the strength of character it takes to put an end into injustice. Okay? So, be mindful of wanting to sit in the king's seat and want to be the Mr. Know-It-All guy. And I warn brothers that are in positions of leadership. You have a guy, man, he's on fire. He does his videos. He's always but is he? What spirit is it? Is it humble? Okay, all those things matter towards being put in a situation where now you're guarding over other brothers' souls, and so to speak. We have to be mindful of that. All right, because if you harm one of these little ones, man, you be cast away. Okay, so we have to watch out for that. All right, I want to read this part. Ephesians 6:4, it says, and ye fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. And I speak that to kind of speak towards a lot of times in the camps, when you're the heads of the camps and you're in a position of leadership, it is kind of like you're dealing with, your little brothers or even your sons. And I know for brothers in the camps, definitely you have that type of affection towards brothers over, 10, 15 years of, walking with a brother through their life. You get that sense of being a big brother or uncle or father to them. And you don't want to provoke your children unto wrath, but bring them up in nurture and admonition and the admonition of the Lord. Yeah, so we nurture brothers, we tend to brothers, we're gentle with brothers, but we do warn but we don't push brothers in a way to where you're quenching their spirit and not letting them grow and express themselves in the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. If you keep doing that to a brother and kind of like squashing their ability to express themselves, then you do start to provoke children to have a resentful, wrathful, spiteful energy towards you. And because brothers we all see each other's dirty draws. And if you're holding the camp back and you're trying to keep everything to yourself within the camp, that is going to be exposed over time. Okay? So that's an important aspect within the camp is to understand about the camp should be growing. It should be growing. And even if you have a camp of 4 people and it's just been y'all 4 for 10 years, well then all 4 of y'all should be on the highest level of being able to run the camp. It shouldn't just be, I'm second in command, but I don't know how to do nothing else. No, everybody should be learning and growing and taking things to the next level. Now, we're going to operate within the order that's been given. I will never disrespect Elder Yashawamba. I understand my place within the camp. I understand my role and my duty within the camp. And if I ever did disrespect Elder Yashawamba, I know that he will pull me to the side, tell me what it is, and we'll deal with it and move on in love. But if Elder Yashawamba needed me to step up and do certain things, then he'll call on me to do those things. He shouldn't be afraid to call on me to do those things. And if he is, we need to talk about it and be able to prepare and get things right. And so it's the same way within y'all brothers' camps, bro. Everybody should just continuously, it should be growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. Okay, Great Millstone is a school of prophets. It's a school of leaders of the new world. All right, we're transitioning into leading the new world. Right, so this is priests and kings. Right, so I just wanted to talk about that. That was on my heart. a couple of days ago. I kind of just put a note in my phone to talk about it. Lord willing, that was edifying. Lord willing, that made sense what I'm saying. But with that being said, man, I'm gonna close this out. And just, if brothers have points and comments, just please add into the comment board. With that, man, call hello Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash. Double honor to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone. Once again, much peace, love, salutations to Yakim out there, pushing the word of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, sincerity and truth. Shalom.